What's up, guys? This is Kevin O'Toole, and this is my week 3 discussion video for IPD term 1504. Okay, so we're going to get right into my app, and then we will go over the usability research that we did prior to Thursday. So right now I have a fresh, clean loaded app onto the phone, only because there's a feature that I will show that it's only going to run once when the app is first loaded. So right now we're going to go ahead and start, and as you can see I have my login screen. Nothing really has changed here. I'm just going to choose login through Facebook only because it is easier. Okay, so here we can see there's a few changes. I can't remember if I had the logout working on the last one. I believe I did, but now I have the user settings, which was added. It's another tab down at the bottom of the screen. This is going to be, we'll just go ahead and go into that. If the user clicks on this, they're going to get an alert if they are logged in through Facebook or Twitter, and that's just letting them know that they can't update their username, email, and password, only because that is done through Facebook. So, but it does let them put a first name and a last name here, which I haven't done yet. I just thought about it right now. I don't have time to do it now, but I will do it before the final release next week. If they do put a first name and last name, which you can see I already have, I will have on the home screen somewhere where it'll say welcome so-and-so. Here, they can change it, so I'll go ahead and just change mine to say my middle name. And this way, and we can just hit save, and saves changes are complete and your information has been saved. So if I was to go out and go back into my user settings, you would see that it has kept the change. Coming back to the home screen, this is the feature now that I was talking about that I'm going to show next. It's a UI alert that's going to pop up just one time, either when they click on vegetables, herbs, or fruits. And the reason I'm doing this was because part of my testing that I did last week, when I wanted the user to actually add a vegetable or a fruit or a herb to the list of, say, vegetables, it was a little confusing to them because they kept going back to adding it to my garden instead of clicking the add button that is in the list view. So I put an alert that'll pop up the first time they log into the app, just to give them a little pointer. So we'll go ahead and show you here. I'll just click vegetables, and here this alert pops up. If you have a plant that is not on the list but would like to add it, click the add button in the top right corner. And that alert view only happens once, when the user first goes into the app, instead of every time they go into the list. I am debating working on that, maybe popping up every 10 or so loads, just in case the user forgets, but that's something I probably will or will not do. Here I did separate the lists a little bit better compared to what they were last week. It's hard to see on the screen with the airdrop, but there is actual gap between each of the lists and the section headers. As a suggestion from Lyndon this week, he was suggesting that I make these lists collapsible. It is on my list of things to do. I just didn't have the time to make the list collapsible or searchable this week. And right now, with the limited information, it's not really going to affect the app too much, but when there is, yeah, you saw that Instagram. I posted a picture of organic donuts earlier. But okay, so back to the app. The list will be searchable when it gets a lot more than it is right now. So I'm hoping prior to the final release I'll have it searchable and collapsible. That's just something that's an added feature that's not really required at the moment. And here nothing else has really changed. Here we've got the vegetables are still here, the adding. Some of the other changes I made this week was when it comes to the tips and tricks. I have nothing loaded right now, so let's just load something. We'll save it, add it, okay. Go back to our list. From here, when they view it, they can now edit the tip instead of just deleting it, which they can also do. If we go back, they can delete it just by going left and right. There is no anything telling the user that they can delete it that way, but if anybody uses an iPhone, knowing that list views, you can swipe left to delete usually. And then another feature was on the My Garden. I did fix a lot of the constraints here. So say we go to the blueberries, I had the edit plant date at the bottom, which is a new feature also. Here the user can edit the date that they actually added it to their garden instead of the date that it defaults to when they actually click add to my garden. During testing, I found that I didn't have constraints on the edit plant date, so it was falling up into the rest of the stuff. So that was something we found that I fixed prior to this release. But here, clicking on the edit plant date, up, and here is another fix I need to do, which is just hide that planting details. But here, when I was testing it on the iPhone 6, that planting details was still high enough that it didn't affect the where the date picker pops up. So that's something I'm probably either going to fix with constraints, so it still stays below the date picker, or just hide it in general. But for now, it's not really affecting much. We can go ahead and say here January 25th, 2015 is when we actually added it. If they tap away, it brings everything back up. You see it only added the top line. So if we click Save Plant Date, it'll update all the other information to be the correct information. And then from here, they can still view the plant details. That is pretty much it. The only things I didn't get to from the suggestions by Lyndon was making the list view searchable and collapsible, and also when it comes to My Garden, instead of having this edit tab to where it does the delete, because they can still, swipe left to delete, he suggested putting an add button, which is something I will do. I was playing around with having that in an add button and then a left swipe menu sliding out, but I would have to change a lot of code to get that to work, so I'm trying to figure out something else. And maybe have a pop-up where it'll be a list of all the vegetables and they can just select, via a checkbox of which ones they want to add to the garden. But that is something else that's not detrimental to the app, but it's something else I will be working on. And then here, the take photo is still the same. Clicking on it will, take the photo. They can use it, and here they can either save it, share it, or clear it. So that's it. That's it for this week. When it comes to the user testability this week, overall, I had very good responses. When it came to the impression of the app, I pretty much had good across the board, gooder. The usability of the app was very easy. It really wasn't too confusing, with the exception of adding a vegetable to the list. So I'm hoping that alert view will fix that. Now, when it came to the people I tested, most of them were at Starbucks because that's where I spent most of my time. So a lot of them did say sometimes when it comes to how often they would use the app. Um, but I think I would have got a better response had I gone to somewhere like Home Depot and maybe gone to the garden section and showing people that are out there that are already interested in gardening the app. I didn't actually think about that until after, but that is something that I can definitely still do regardless of whether this is relevant or not. And for the most part, I did target most users that had iPhones, just because it was an iPhone app, so I already knew they had the usability. I got a pretty diverse group of people, from sales to realtors. I did get a few students that had different various jobs. Most of the people, actually, I would say everybody that I talked to was very proficient with using a phone, and they also were very proficient in finding and using apps. I would say almost all of them, all the apps they have on their phone are free, with the exception of one or two that had bought a few apps on their phone. Everybody uses their phone every day, and it's across the board that social media was the number one thing most of the people use their apps for. So having that social media integration in this app, I think, will be a key player to get this app, more out there and more users. When it came to having people do like scavenger hunts and find things in the app, everything actually went pretty well. It was the steps it took was pretty much what I thought. Everybody was pretty close to the same amount of steps, maybe +1 or -1 here or there. but for the most part, it actually went very well. I got a few suggestions. One suggestion would be to maybe, I know it's going into a lot, tying into a whole recipe thing, but that could be into the tips and tricks, or have even a recipe icon where, they can do a search by vegetable of certain recipes and stuff like that. But that is just a whole nother ball game. But it was just a suggestion that I had gotten from somebody. Um, Most of my users also chose to log in through Facebook. Granted, it was my Facebook that they were using when they logged in because it was on my phone. But I did have one user who created an account who decided, she'd rather create an account than log in through Facebook. So I thought that was pretty cool. Other than that, that's it. I hope everybody had a good week, and I'm looking forward to this last and final week and having this app polished and ready for release. Hope everybody has a great night, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.